Good afternoon. My name is Carol J. Malloy, and today I'm giving you a presentation of interpersonal communications. This presentation is a requirement for my class HSCO 508 from Liberty University. Next slide, please. Let me give you a quick introduction of what are the points that we're going to be discussing through this presentation. We're going to talk about interpersonal communication, overarching goals, enlarging the conversation, actively enlarging the conversation, a little bit of my background, interpersonal communication skill sets, behavior blend, potential barriers, noise pollution, and finally the plan of action. Next slide. Let's start by talking what is interpersonal communication. Stewart starts with saying that the type or kind of communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen in a way that maximize the presence of the personal. Also, Peterson adds and said that communication derives by the root word commune, which means sharing information and connecting with others. Next slide. Now that we know the definition, we understand how important it is to execute it properly. And overarching goals is for each individual. In my case, I know that I need to achieve a better communication skill. I need to listen better. I need to be empathetic in listening, and I know that it requires three things, which are focusing, encouraging, and reflecting. I also know that I need to avoid negativity. One of my negativities is that my language barrier. I think that since English is not my first language, is a barrier for me to talk properly with others or others to be able to understand me. I have understood that my goal is to become more aware of that internal thoughts and starts to stop over analyzing. Next slide, please. Enlarging the conversation. Enlarging the conversation forces us to actively engage ourselves in stepping outside of what we can call our comfort zone. According to Peterson, when our brains are flat, we cannot hear, see, think, or be sensible. This causes our system to get out of order, which affects how we communicate. There's a direct link between the quality of our communication and the quality of our lives. Next slide, please. So how can we actively enlarge our communication? We can know the concept, but if we don't do something about it, we become part of the problem. So we have to purposely try new things and change our mindset. In my case, more public speaking, which this is a great forum. Read more. Make friends with people that have other cultures or points of view. Be open to their other types of knowledge. Be receptive. Receptive to correction, receptive to advice, and be humble. Also, in that process, it's important to listen to God and have faith that is a process. And with the proper tools, you're able to overcome all these barriers already mentioned. Next slide, please. Who am I? A little bit of my description is that I'm a mother of a beautiful 6-year-old. I'm a worshiper. I love God with all my heart, and praise His name is the number one thing that I love to do. I'm a military spouse. I'm a veteran. I come from Puerto Rico, and now here we are stationed in Kansas City. I'm a student. I'm a Panthers fan, and I'm also a Golden State fan. Best teams ever. I am determined. I am caring. I am family orientated, and I am also a perfectionist. Next slide. Now, this is how I evaluate myself. This class offers us the opportunity to go through different assessments of how we communicate with each other. One of those assessments was the interpersonal communication skill test, also known as the Quidam report. This report says that I interpret my interpersonal communication skills as adaptable in understanding other people's words and actions and seeing things from their perspective, pretty much from my analytical behavior. I understand that empathy is important for my character. I love people, and I really concerned of what they have to say. Next slide, please. The other assessment was my behavior blend. This four-quadrant model of basic human behavior help us explain why people do what they do. Carbonell says that this model has four quadrants, known as DISC. D is for dominance, I is for influence, C is for compliance, and S is for steadiness. Each type is independent, but they can relate to each other also in a certain way. Next slide. After my uniquely you assessment, my behavior blend said that I'm expected to be a C type. This type is the cautious, competent type. Calculating, analytical, perfectionist, precise, contemplative, thinker, organized. I agree with this assessment because for people that are aside of me, if they need something to be organized or need things to be done or to be planned, I'm the person they go to. But my actually who am I, or this is me, is the CIS, which is competent influentially specialist. That means I am more passive than active. I got strong people skills. I'm outgoing and reserved. I can be the life of the party, or I could be in quiet as spectator. I like to influence and interact with people, and I like to do things right. This assessment was perfect for me. Next slide, please. Now, as any behavioral blend, they have their positive and their negative. The positive of my CIS is that I have strong personal skills. I can be with everybody. I have no problem with that. I'm very warm on an individual basis. My close circle, I love them and I'm there for them all the time. I usually do what I'm told, not only as being prior military, but as I was raised, I tend to follow instructions and respect authority. And I'm skillful in interpreting other people's words and actions, coming from my background that I like to listen and analyze the situation. Next slide, please. So at the same time that I have positives, there's also the negatives. And the negatives are that I lack of being commanding or demanding. I will follow the flow. I think too much or too long about solving problems, constantly all the time. I tend to be too quiet and humble that no one knows that I'm present. I struggle with those who want immediate action or answers. I need to analyze. Next slide, please. Potential barriers. There's certain things that can happen that can limit or be an obstacle to proper communication, which could be bias of listening, external distractions, failure to express myself, difficulty in challenging conversations, negative self-talk, disclosing myself to others, or even fatigue. Next slide. How do we overcome those barriers? Well, there were several advices throughout the whole semester, but these are the ones that I plan to apply. Select proper environment. Wait for the talker to give signals before speaking. Avoid judgment. Try to view the situation through the eyes of the other person. Avoid projecting my own background. Be flexible. Give feedback. Relax and check and control my emotions. Next slide, please. What is noise pollution? Noise pollution is factors that influence us to be distracted from listening actively at level 1. There are two types, the internal and the external. Next slide, please. Internal is those defined within our personal life, our values, our emotions, our stress. The external are the location, the way the talker speaks or moves their hands, the time, distractions like TV, phone, anything external. Next slide, please. Solution. We need to, through the process of asking questions, to collect the information needed and to help fill in the missing pieces to the talker's story, stay engaged in the conversation and ignore the pollutants that disrupt thought processes. That's Peterson's advice. I also may add to focus on the person, be empathetic, find a suitable place, maintain a positive attitude, remember the purpose, and ask questions to stay engaged and to increase comprehension of the conversation. Next slide, please. My plan of action is to set my limitations, focus on the talker, listen with a purpose, speak from my heart, allow space, admit my ignorance, and study the Word of God and apply it to my conversations. Next slide, please. As a conclusion, the Word of God says, "A fool finds no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing his own opinions." Through this class, I understood there was a lot of limitations and that I might have been a fool thinking that I knew it all. But I thank God for this opportunity because I look forward to go over those barriers and become a better communicator. Thank you so much.